everyone, it's Toby here from Renew. I'm here with Mark Benet of Simpleweb. We're talking about another one of our forward stories. Renew is all about focusing on sustainable businesses for the next generation, and particularly the businesses that young talent, rare talent will be driving going forward. Mark, amazed by Simpleweb. It's always had amazing ideas, and you've always had an incredibly innovative and disruptive approach and a young mind, I should say. So can you just tell us a little bit about Simpleweb?
So, I used to run a startup many years ago, late 90s, early 2000s, which was mobile and music industry, basically. Never made any money, but learned loads of amazing stuff, and then exited that, took a year off, and I was the developer, I was the coder. Met this other guy, Tom, who turns out was a proper programmer. He was amazing. And we started Simpleweb. And I'd done all the accessibility for the government, not all of it, but quite a lot of the websites, criminal justice system, for example. So I'd done all the accessibility for that. And then Tom and I thought we'd make a CMS. We thought we'd be business and grown up and corporate and try and make some money out of this repeatable product that we could sell multiple times. And we did. We built probably one of the most amazing CMSs at the time, about 2005, 2006. But it was boring. It was the most boring thing I'd ever done. Really, selling the same thing, going out, blah, 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 blah. So we accidentally created one of the first music apps for Facebook. And not every, but a lot of record labels around the globe just said, yeah, we want to be part of this, because we were talking about scarcity of music. So we're trying to make music scarce again, while things like LimeWire were trying to make it ubiquitous. And we just realized that we like doing this, and we like doing fun stuff and creating interesting things. We didn't care about the money, and we just thought, right, we don't care about money, let's make cool stuff. And then that was kind of the beginning.
Mark, you and I have known each other less than a year, but what would be really cool is to get a handle on where you want to go with this stuff, because I think that it's the future story of where you're trying to take Simpleweb, and particularly around embracing and getting young talent into this world, that I think is really, really interesting.
So one of our kind of philosophies is the reason we got into investing, and one of the reasons we got into investing in some of the companies that we work with, was we wanted to create jobs. It was literally that simple, creating an employment kind of ecosystem. So if we helped another company be successful, they would employ people. That was one of our metrics for success, if you like. And then as we've gone through the journey over the last 10, 15 years, we've kind of worked with quite a lot of kids. One in particular, I remember we got 14-year-old girls in who thought they were coming in to do IT experience, and we made them do rapid prototyping with pens and paper to design their ideal chat app. And it was unbelievably successful for us. And we're kind of like, yeah, we like this. How can we turn this into something that's more useful? But our lack of resource didn't allow us to amplify that. But going forward, what we want to do is, well, it's the same thing. We just want to create employment. And there's multiple ways for a company to do that, whether it's via investing or whether it's training up some of the younger kind of talent that's coming through, which I have to say the pandemic is not helping with. But like you said, optimistically, we're coming out of that and it's sunny. So, it feels like that's going to help us with it. But fundamentally, I've got to the stage where I know that, one, I don't know everything, which I used to think I did, and now I know that I don't, which is a revelation in itself. But the second thing is that I'm getting old, and actually some of the younger people coming through with the ideas and the way that they see the world, there's so much to be learned from that. It's absolutely imperative for us to try and bring that through our business, and also imperative to matchmake with other businesses that we know as well, which we're lucky enough to know lots of businesses from an investment point of view and a client point of view. So from a future point of view, it's what can we do? That's it. That's the question, is what can we do? And as long as we're constantly asking ourselves that, I kind of feel like we're in a good place, but I can't predict the future. And that's the difficult bit with this stuff.
I guess one of the things that that we got talking about, isn't it? That scaling now the various different elements of what Simpleweb is involved in. So do you want to just talk a little bit about what are the challenges that you faced well, right now in terms of scaling Simpleweb and the offshoots and spin-outs that you're doing with that?
There's so many challenges. And, it's about breaking them down into actual manageable bits. And, the hardest bit, I think, is talent. And I know that's kind of the context anyway, but the hardest thing is always talent, and is finding the time to nurture it. And I think that's one of the biggest, the Kickstart scheme at the moment. So the government might have actually got something right, which is good. And they've pivoted, so you no longer need to employ 30 young people at a time. You can now actually just employ one person, which is actually really useful. And obviously they're going to pay their wage. So we've got an opportunity at the moment to actually do something useful, and experiment with this stuff. And it's difficult to know, now that we've been given this opportunity, it's difficult to actually know how best to handle it, because my Simpleweb hat needs to be reasonably cautious with this stuff, because fundamentally, when we have a young person coming to work with us, when I say young, I mean, the fact that I'm saying 24 is young blows my mind, but you need to give time. You can't just go, hey, look, I've got a free person, let's do some stuff. And, it's really important for us to give them paid work, real work, client work, so that they've got something useful to take away with them should they go, which they will go at some point.
Well, and you and I haven't caught up on this, but some of Renew's initial clients, some of the work that we've been doing, we've been able to deliver on our promise of, we've taken, rare talent, young talent in particular, that's at university or sitting at home, directly engaged in our clients straight off the bat. So no graduate recruitment, no internships. There's a mutual respect and learning environment where our crew is learning from the experiences that these guys have, and these guys are learning from the experiences we have, and the clients are benefiting from both together. And that's like a proper grown-up way of doing this sort of stuff at the time when many big companies have turned their backs and said, the first thing we're going to stop is graduate recruitment or internship programs or stuff like that. That's kind of what's going on. So
I think that's really important, though, that specifically is, you see so many people taking on, because it's usually temporary, this stuff, whether it's a week from a work experience for a 15-year-old, or whether it's 6 months or a year. We've done quite a lot of sandwich year placements for graduates. It's really important to give them real work. Most people protect them. Oh no, we don't want to put you in front of the client, or we don't want to give you real work. We've had graphic designer students in, we've literally got them working, and it's been amazing. And it's really important they've got something to leave us with, so that they can show that they've done something real. And which is why I don't think you should do this stuff unless you're prepared to put some time into it.
No, that's right. And I think that you said to me earlier, just before we started, that the investment in time and finding that balance is really, really key. I mean, the cultural change that there's, having that diverse environment and how that is progressive for the business and the ideas and everything else, I just think, it is amazing. So it's and what you do are clearly exemplars in that space. What I'd love to know is you're at the absolute cutting edge of most new technologies. So what are the things that you've got your teams working with at the moment?
The most interesting thing to me at the moment is the DeFi stuff that's happening in the blockchain world, the decentralized finance, the way that this stuff can be used for really good, interesting things. And it's so early, and like I said to you earlier, it's like almost like trying to describe a new color. So I won't go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well,
but the DeFi stuff is fascinating. It's not only, while everyone's talking about it being world changing, the interesting thing to me is that I think it's community changing. And that's what I find interesting.
And it's great you said that, because the point I was going to make was, I think there's two big themes, and this is very much that, where Renew's at as well, that we're seeing. One is around decentralization, as I won't bore again, the nation state getting less important and interconnected, whatever. And the second is privacy. As we get more decentralized, amorphous blobs have more control of our data. So how do we bring back that control?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's great to hear that your team's going on with that. Just in terms of kind of wrapping up, just a couple of questions to wrap up. Your vision for Simpleweb going forward. So let's say what does 2030 Simpleweb look like?
Blimey, I mean, that's an amazing question, because I could just make up a load of stuff that I'd like.
Well, so do it. So do it.
So, but fundamentally, I mean, the Simpleweb, really, the whole point of Simpleweb, as it stands, is it's a vehicle for investment. And, you know, we want to invest in early stage companies. And by 2030, we would like to be in a position where we have helped a lot of young, interesting, innovative companies make a mark on the world, frankly. And, you know, by 2030, if we add 100 or 200, 300 maybe investments or various companies, I'll be exceptionally happy with that. And that's where we're working towards. And there's 1,000 mechanisms that could get us to that, but that's where we want to be. And whether that means we've got a fund to go with that, or whether we've got all these other things, who knows? Whether Simpleweb becomes 3 companies, who knows at this stage? But we know what it is that we want to achieve by then.
The final question is, I guess, is what help are you looking for in terms of getting you there?
We need a shit hot team to get there, which we've already got, frankly, for the slice of where we currently are. And it's all going to be about the talent that we need to get there. You know, we need all kinds of interesting people that think differently, and don't necessarily are not tied to any particular current view. And they're gold dust, these people, but that's the kind of help that we need. And that's what we're looking for, always looking for that. Because we don't know, the world is so unpredictable at the moment that we don't know enough about how to do the things that we need to do in the next 10 years. But we do know what we want to achieve. And we do know that it takes a certain type of person to get us there. And so it's all about people. It's always about people. The technology is secondary to humans. We know that. Well, I said humans like I'm a robot, but you know, you know what I mean.
Well, I know what you mean. And just finding new ways to source, decentralized talent. That's what, again, we're finding from a Renew point of view right now is like the pandemic is democratizing, AI students in Syria to collaborate with people in Fiji. I had somebody last year working on a homeless project, homeless shelter project in New York. Nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I had a conversation yesterday, and I don't know whether I should say anything because she's not a client yet, but doing amazing things in Turkey. They've started a school, and they now want to create a decentralized online presence for students around Turkey, possibly the rest of the world, which to me is the dream. Education is the source. If we're not dealing with education full on, then we're never going to improve anything. And I'm just like, we can help. We can literally help
Mark,
build out this education system in Turkey. I'm like, I'm in.
Thank you, Mark, and
it's a pleasure.
Wish you all the success.